What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Takin Bumps Live, episode 2, right here on Facebook. We are your host, The Blueprint, Mike Bolin, and my co-host,
The Architect, Justin Holland. I got the nickname this week.
He did. He got the nickname, and it kind of flows, I think.
It flows pretty good. Not too bad.
There you go. Good. A lot of stuff to cover this week. We had a huge SummerSlam weekend, including TakeOver. We had SummerSlam itself. We had the Monday Night Raw. We had the Monday Night Raw following. We had SmackDown Live right after that. We had the Cruiserweight Classic. We had NXT. Just a huge, huge show. A week of shows going on for WWE. Crazy things have been happening with injuries, return rumors, main roster debuts. A new championship was debuted. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about what's pissing us off in pro wrestling. Got a lot of things to say about that.
There's a lot this week.
So we are excited to be live right here on Facebook to talk to you guys this week, having discussions about pro wrestling because, hey, that's what we love to do. So, obviously the big elephant in the room, the first thing we want to talk about is SummerSlam.
It was a big 4-hour summer blockbuster of a party. I believe there was 8 or 9 matches on the card. It was a pretty star-studded event. It was really ready to go, and it was, supposed to be a very historic night. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of twists and turns, a lot of unexpected outcomes, and then some were a little obvious. Let's see. Let's start with the first match. I believe it was Enzo and Cass in the tag team match against Jericho, Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens and Jericho came out on top. The Enzo and Cass didn't see that one coming.
No, I didn't.
But then again, it was actually kind of interesting for the push of the Jericho tag team to see where that's going to develop, whether they continue with the tag team or if eventually they branch off into singles again.
Well,
so it's a fresh start of a tag team, so we don't
not wanting to segue into what happened on Monday Night Raw, but we may see that with Kevin Owens. So he is in contention for the Universal title now.
Mm-hmm.
So we may see that branch off and possibly into a feud over the Universal Championship between Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
So
that's very possible. Wouldn't mind seeing Jericho in one last run that was champion. Any champion for that matter, whether it's a tag team or it's a singles belt.
Or another Intercontinental Championship. Throw it on there.
And you can only imagine that if he wins the Intercontinental Championship, he's going to gloat about being, 10-time Intercontinental Champion, the first and only 10-time. If he wins the Universal Champion, he's going to gloat about being that and the first undisputed champion. So Jericho's got a lot of credentials already.
First ballot Hall of Famer, obviously.
Just add on to it. Why not?
Do you think, this is a question I have, do you think it hurts Enzo and Cass's momentum to be beaten by a team that isn't necessarily a tag team and not in contention for the WWE Tag Team Championships?
Definitely. Enzo and Cass have been a tag team with T for a couple of years. They know each other very well. They're very successful in their tag team matches, and then being put up against, not like they're two not good superstars, Kevin Owens and Jericho. They're very, very successful and very good, but they haven't been teaming for very long. They don't know if they have that kind of chemistry, if you will, about being a good enough tag team. But so far, they've done pretty well. So they've had each other's backs. So I could see them being in the tag team title hunt, but I don't think it's going to last as long as it has started. Kind of like Chris Jericho and AJ Styles. It started off good, and then downhill very quickly.
Or Jerry Miz, when that brief time frame when Jericho and Miz were kind of teaming.
Kind of a ish.
Yeah.
And then Jericho and Edge. And Jericho has had a lot of tag team partners.
Yes.
None lasted more than a year.
Yes.
So
very true.
Good luck with that. Okay.
So what else happened on SummerSlam?
There was the women's champion between Sasha Banks defending against Charlotte.
Another outcome I did not see happening with Charlotte regaining
the championship.
Championship.
Sasha only held the belt for about a month, and then losing it to Charlotte. Clean victory, no interferences, no disqualifications, no cheating. It was just It was a straight win, and it was
a good match.
It was unpredictable. It was a great match.
Charlotte seems to be getting in some trouble because she was a little bit reckless with Sasha, knowing that Sasha had an injury going into the match, which is why Sasha is taking time off.
Yes.
Due to a back injury, and there were a couple spots. I know there was one where like she kind of pushed Sasha off the turnbuckle, and the way she bent her back, it was just crazy. Just I remember watching. We were sitting there, we were watching the show, and I remember the way she landed. I was like, oh, that was rough.
And then finding out that she was leaving for a back injury, we figured that was the case. Well, because of that nasty bump off the ropes, it just didn't help. It was already a previous injury. It just made it worse. So, let's see. I'm trying to get some more results out here. So
we had Rusev defending the United States Championship against Roman Reigns in a no contest because the match never officially got started.
Yeah. I looked away for a second. Reigns was coming out. That's when I usually walk away. I come back, and it's a brawl all over ringside area. I didn't know if it was ever actually going to start. Obviously, it didn't. So it was an interesting way to turn the match around to not even having it.
I think they didn't want to hurt Rusev and having him drop the U.S. title, and they also didn't want to hurt Reigns by having him not win because they're trying to on this rebuilding of Roman Reigns after his suspension. So I thought it was an interesting way to do that. I was a little disappointed because they did have a pretty dang good match on Monday Night Raw prior to SummerSlam.
I think that's what killed it.
Yeah.
Because they had it 6 days prior, they already had a big match. It was a great match. It was back and forth. It wasn't, again, no disruptions, no interferences, no disqualifications. It was a clean victory. Reigns won. And they just didn't push it through to being almost like a part 2, but this time for the belt. I don't know what Reigns got out of winning it on Raw, except for the push into SummerSlam and then just not go through.
He could win it.
Making he could win it, and I don't know who threw the first punch in that altercation.
It might have been Reigns.
Wouldn't doubt
pretty
it.
sure it was Reigns.
I wouldn't doubt it. He's a hot.
You also had the Intercontinental Championship match.
Again, not the way I saw it going.
No.
I really thought Apollo Crews had the Miz. Thought he had him beat for the championship. He's a new guy to SmackDown, new guy to the main roster from NXT. I thought he had him, but
it wasn't a bad match, even by Miz standards. Which Miz isn't a bad worker. I think he gets a lot of flack, and I've been a Miz fan for a long time. Justin, you know that.
Definitely.
So he's not a bad worker, and he gets a lot of flack because he didn't grow up in the Indies. So it was a pretty good match. I think Apollo Crews is still kind of green. Still got some work to do, and still got to build himself back up.
Mm-hmm.
But he's definitely somebody I like. I always say, I said it during SummerSlam, he looks like a jacked up Kevin Hart.
And that's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing. So that match, I mean, it was what it was. It wasn't anything spectacular. It was a good match. You also had, what else did we have going on in that card?
There was the 6 Diva tag match. As the news and the rumors were flying before, the Eve Marie was suspended for a bad drug test, gone for 30 days. And they played her character off, so she was no longer part of the tag team of Alexa Bliss and Natalya. So they needed a third partner. And who would come out but
Nikki Bella. I was pleasantly surprised.
Very surprised.
Nikki Bella, much like The Miz, gets a lot of flack for being a not a very good superstar, but she is. She's very talented in the ring, and she's worked hard to back. She's been training with Daniel Bryan and John Cena. She's not bad in the ring. I think the problem was that people were tired of her matches because she wasn't facing anybody. The storylines weren't there for anything during her Divas title match. So I don't mind Nikki Bella coming back. I think it's a nice little rejuvenation. I much would have rather seen her come back to Raw, though, because Raw's women's division is not as stacked as SmackDown's.
Yeah.
And especially with losing Paige recently to a suspension. So I would have liked to seen her come back to Raw. I think that's the reason, which we'll talk about when we talk about Monday Night Raw, that they pull Bayley up. because they needed more people with Sasha going out with an injury and Paige going out with a suspension. I mean, really, who else?
And then after that, all you have is just, Charlotte. You got Bailey now. You've got Alicia Fox. There's not a whole lot of
Dana
Brooke, but let's be honest.
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax. They're building her character to push her farther, but as of right now, she's not. She wasn't on SummerSlam, so she's not. She's main roster material, but she's not main event material yet. Maybe when they push Bailey a little further, maybe they'll bring in Nia Jax.
I think
for the championship.
I think what's going to end up happening is I think when Sasha Banks returns, she's going to turn heel, and I think they're going to build a match between Bailey and Sasha for WrestleMania. Those are my predictions.
Okay.
Even possibly a triple threat match. Who knows?
Still early to tell.
Yeah. So we also had the tag team title match at WrestleMania, which
SummerSlam. It's the first blunder of the day.
It is the first blunder of the
day. We have plenty of time for more.
Yes.
So yeah, we got the tag team championship match. New Day, which was Kofi and Xavier Woods. Big E was out with an injury from what was that? What was it? It was ring post-itis.
Ring post-itis.
By Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson of the club. How'd that match go down, Mike?
It was nothing different than what we've seen from the New Day prior. The only exception being that without Big E, they got Jon Stewart from the original host of The Daily Show to be in their corner, which didn't make any sense at all. He was just kind of thrown. If he had been in there weeks prior and done other things to help build this feud, it would have made more sense and I would have liked it better, but he was just kind of thrown in there day of, and I was not invested into him being there until they were going to give him some ring post-itis, and Big E comes out to make the save and make his return with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson winning by disqualification, so the titles did not change hands.
So far as a recap, we've had Jericho and Kevin Owens win their match. We had Charlotte win her match. We had The Miz win his match. We had Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson win their match. Natalya, Alexa Bliss, and the returning Nikki Bella won her match. From a fan standpoint, looking at, the heels versus the baby faces, every match up to that point was all heel wins.
Yeah.
Not one good guy won a match. Even though they're pushing Nikki Bella as a face now, at the time she was on the wrong team.
Yeah.
For that.
Which we'll talk about that because I want to talk about Talking Smack. So we'll talk about that and her face push here in a little bit. But when we get back to SummerSlam, we also had AJ Styles taking on John Cena. I think personally this was my favorite match of the night. I think they stole the show, and anybody that can sit there and say that John Cena can't wrestle can go screw themselves, because John Cena has proven time and time again that he can wrestle and that he can go out there and put on 5-star matches with just about anybody.
It doesn't matter how many times he's worked with them, how new they are, how long they've been around. He's been able to, pull it out of his ass. I mean, let's be honest. He had the WrestleMania match with The Rock. Rock was, out of the business. He hadn't had a match in 8 years by that point. And Cena slowed down his pace to make The Rock look better than he really was. And then with AJ Styles, a huge veteran, been in the business for almost 20 years as well, made AJ Styles look even better, made himself look better because he had to keep up with AJ.
Just think in the last few years, Justin.
In the past few years, yeah.
Cesaro, Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Zack Ryder even.
Yeah. Great matches with guys that you wouldn't think would be main event caliber, but he made them seem main event
Daniel
material.
Bryan, CM Punk, all of these guys. John Cena has consistently come out there and had fantastic matches with. Bray Wyatt, he had good matches with. Even Ryback. And Ryback wasn't that good. And the matches with Ryback were still decent. They weren't great, but they were still decent. So John Cena can work. And I have all the respect in the world for John Cena. I do think it's time for him to turn heel, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Right.
And the fact that AJ Styles gets the win here, clean
Clean win. No club, No use of a chair behind the ref's back. Just clean, straight victory. It was.
That sends a statement. It's a big statement to the future of not only WWE but John Cena and AJ Styles.
Well, I remember the way he left the ring after AJ Styles already headed to the back. John Cena sat up, just upset at himself that he couldn't pull out the win, and he took off his Never Give Up armband, kissed it, and left it in the middle of the ring and walked out. I don't know what that symbolizes. If that means he's finally given up, per se. If that means he's leaving because he couldn't beat AJ Styles. AJ Styles was the better man. He came out on top, clean victory. Does that mean that Cena's maybe done? He's ready to pass the torch to a younger breed.
Well, since John Cena has returned, he returned on Memorial Day. He has kept saying he is...
Memorial Day?
Yeah, it was Memorial Day.
Come on, it was Memorial Day or 4th of July?
No, it was Memorial Day. He returned on Memorial Day,
okay.
and he kept saying ever since then, he's the face that runs the place. So maybe that's his way of saying he doesn't run it anymore. I think this propels AJ Styles into being the top on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when we get into later into the week and the SmackDown results, we'll talk more about that as well. But keeping going, we're going to go next with the WWE World Championship match featuring Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler.
Again, not another bad match. It was 50 minutes long. It was back and forth. He got a little cocky through the whole match. Like he had it under control, but a lot of times Dolph Ziggler,
Dolph just fighting, and
he's a fighter. He was.
My problem with this match, although it was a good match, I think it just left a little bit to desire. How it was just, and I feel like Dolph deserves more than just a one and done for the title. So I would have liked seen not a clean finish and them continue their feud into Backlash, but we obviously know that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Dolph is one and done in this feud, and Dean Ambrose comes away with a clean victory.
Yeah, the way Dolph Ziggler put what it seems like he put his heart and soul in his promos. I mean, he's, even he said it himself, in the past few years, he hasn't really tried to be the champion. It was just more of, showing off, like he can do.
Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't been world champion in 3 or 4 years. And the way he presented the promos, you actually thought that Dolph Ziggler was going to come out on top. I thought he was going to come out on top. Like you said, pushing into a Backlash rematch between the two. And the way it turned out, Dolph was getting ready to be on top, and and Dean Ambrose didn't end up that way, and Dean Ambrose came out on top with Dirty Deeds. I'm not sure where that puts Dolph Ziggler now. Does that put him in the ranking for the Intercontinental belt against The Miz? Did that just put him back down in the rankings where he's fighting Baron Corbin every week?
Or does that put him, in position for a turn? We were talking about it before SummerSlam, that he had kind of been teasing it. And does that now that he couldn't get the job done as a babyface, he couldn't get the job done by playing by the rules, maybe he shouldn't play by the rules anymore?
We know he's used to not playing by the rules, Money in the Bank. When he was, I hate to tell all you fans this if you didn't know, but when he was part of the Spirit Squad as Nikki, Dolph is very... Whoops. Did I spill the beans?
You killed my childhood.
Anyway, sorry about your childhood. He's used to breaking the rules and being the bad guy and cheating and stuff. Maybe that's what Dolph needs to get back on top. He needs that heel turn. Kind of hoping for it actually.
It'd be a nice change of pace.
I could see this is an early prediction. Backlash isn't until September 11th, but I feel that when it's when the match is at for the world title between Dean Ambrose, and I don't think we ever said his opponent, so it's mystery opponent until we get to it. I feel that Dolph Ziggler is going to come out, maybe screw one of them over, and then maybe that'll lead into a triple threat match the following SmackDown pay-per-view. I don't know if it's going to be Survivor Series, or there's going to be one more in October. I can't remember if it's No Mercy or...
I don't know. October, I think, is No Mercy.
Okay. So I feel that's going to be eventually be a triple threat match, and it's going to be Dolph Ziggler in that one, and maybe Dolph will then, turn him heel, being the show off that he is, and then turn the champion. Give us one second. No, good.
No, we're
You're good. Okay, we have one more title match for Finn Balor. That was for the pinfall submission only Universal Championship match, the first ever. Came down to Seth Rollins facing the winner of the Fatal 4-Way match, and then facing Roman Reigns on Raw. Finn Balor. New to the roster, one of the freshest draft picks on Raw. Longest reigning NXT champion. It was a great match.
It really was.
Damn near 20 minutes long of back and forth. I'm disappointed in how the fans reacted to the belt. It's been said time and time again. We just discussed it earlier that the championship, how it looks, doesn't really affect the championship itself, but the fact you can see on the Takin Bumps page that the belt looks a little similar to the women's championships and the WWE championship.
It looks almost exactly.
It's the same damn thing. They just changed the words and made it red. I was upset with how fans took it. They were saying belt looks stupid and this sucks and title sucks. It's just, the title aside, the match was great though.
Yeah. And I think Seth Rollins put it best. He tweeted after the match. He was disappointed in Brooklyn because it's not about what the title looks like. It's about what that title represents to the men competing for it. And that means the world to them. So that title means the world.
It means the universe to them.
I still think this belt looks better. Just saying.
Still looks better. Yeah, go for it.
So, I love the match. I was really honestly surprised to see Finn come out on top with the Universal Championship, but it also shows me what kind of faith they have in Finn Balor as a future star of the company. It's unfortunate that he ended up being injured in the match, and then now he has to relinquish the championship for 6 months.
Yeah, hopefully it's not going to be that long, but the fact that less than 24 hours later he had to give it up is a damn shame. He was hard in that match. It's his first big pay-per-view on the main roster for the Raw World Champion technically against one of the best in the company right now, and it was just he got powerbombed by Seth Rollins into the ring, the barricade, and dislocated his shoulder, and then popped it back in and kept going. That's a fighting champion.
That brings me to a point, and this technically should fall under the things that are pissing me off in pro wrestling, but I'm just going to say it here because it's not what I want to talk about in that segment.
Okay.
Everybody keeps saying that they think Seth Rollins is a dangerous worker because people have been getting injured in the ring with Seth Rollins. Sting in the JBL podcast or JBL interview on W Network admitted that it was him that took that bump wrong. Oh. Anybody who's taken that bump admitted that it was Finn Balor who took that bump wrong by overextending his arm.
Yeah.
John Cena thing was a freak accident.
The knee. He had his head down an inch or two too low.
Yeah.
He didn't know how high Seth's knee was going to go. Shit happens like that.
People like Bret Hart, who just keep repeatedly coming out and attacking Seth Rollins, saying he's a dangerous worker, but that could have happened to anybody.
I mean, does that mean Goldberg's a dangerous worker because he ended Bret Hart's career?
That's what Bret Hart says.
That's about that. But how many issues and accidents has Goldberg really made that put people on the shelf? I can only really recall the Bret. That was an accident. If it wasn't a scripted situation, Bret was the only accident that I have, to my recollection, as documented. But with Seth Rollins, yeah, he had the accident with Cena. He had the accident with Finn Balor. The accident with Sting. Apparently there's been a lot of issues when he was doing the curb stomp.
Well, that really wasn't an issue with the move itself, with him doing it. It was an issue with, from what I understand, the company not with the concussion syndrome thing that was going around that time, that the company didn't feel comfortable having that move looking the way it looks with all the concussion losses they were getting at the time.
Right. It's just, he's not a dangerous worker. He's a good worker. He does what he does. I mean, he's never had any injury, really, until he blew his knee out last year.
Yeah.
And he hurt himself doing something stupid. Just a simple move he's done a million times.
We've heard him say that.
Yeah, did a million times, and it just landed just a little bit wrong. Just tweaked his foot just the wrong way, and just costed him 6-8 months of his career.
Yeah. But not to get off topic, we're still on SummerSlam.
Still on SummerSlam.
We still have the main event to talk about. And I think both of us have shared the same feeling as a lot of the fans. Confusion.
Confusion, let down, kind of stopped. Yeah. It just kind of, that's what it just did.
Well, I think
they didn't push it far enough after. I think.
Before that, the match wasn't
the match itself. It was only like 11 minutes long.
Yeah,
11, 12 minutes long. It wasn't very long for a main event.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton.
Was not very long.
Huge build. A lot of good promos on Raw and SmackDown between Heyman and the random one of Brock cussing out Heath Slater, and then Orton.
Shit about your kids.
Shit about your kids. It was a good build up, but kind of a letdown. We had to go back and watch it just to see where things went downhill. Brock took matters into his own hands the only way that a UFC fight knows how.
And that's the one positive thing I think that came out of this match is you don't know if Brock actually took matters into his own hands and decided he was going to bust Randy Orton up, or if that's what they planned on. So there's conflicting reports out there. I just remember thinking, and if it is a work, if it is, what they planned on doing, I love it. The reason I love it is because I sat there, as jaded as a fan as I am.
We can call anything.
And I'm usually the type of guy that can sit there and say, okay, that was scripted. Okay, that was scripted. Okay, this was scripted. I sat there and I looked at him and I said, I don't know if that was supposed to happen.
It just happened.
And I think those are the moments as a fan I love. Mm-hmm. When I can sit there after years and studying the business and even working on the independents and knowing how the business works, I can sit there and say, yeah, but all that other stuff I know, but that I don't think was supposed to happen. Those are the moments I live for as a fan, and there's been several of those this week, and the reports are the WWE is going to continue to do those kind of moments, and those are just going to twist you up and turn you up inside out, and it's going to be awesome.
And if you are a big enough fan to where you've been watching wrestling at least the past 5 years, you'd already know that when Brock Lesnar returned, he faced John Cena at Extreme Rules of 2012. Less than a couple minutes into the match, he did the exact same thing to John Cena. He hit him with 3 elbows, and that third one busted Cena open really bad on the back of his head. They had the doctors come out, clean him up. I think they tried to stitch him up a little bit. It was the main event match, and it happened so early on, but they kept going with it. But it wasn't he bladed himself with a knife or with some glass or a razor blade. It was Brock Lesnar's elbow into a man's skull. Ripped the flesh enough to bleed everywhere. And it's the same that happened to Randy Orton at SummerSlam. He took 2 elbow shots to the head. The second one caught him right above the hairline here. And you can see it on our page. We posted the picture of the aftermath. It was a pool of blood.
Yeah.
Did not take long. It was dripping like a faucet. They had to call a match on a technical knockout in favor of Brock. I don't think I've even seen a match end with a TKO. Boxing, cage fighting, a video game, but I've never seen it happen on TV before. I don't know if Orton just really couldn't continue, or if that's just the way they wanted to end it. Again, fans that can call saying, oh, we knew that move was going to happen, we knew that was going to happen. We couldn't figure out what was reality and what was planned. It was, and a lot of different rumor sites, Instagram, Facebooks, Twitters, there's stories back and forth, so there really is no official source as to what happened. Do you remember the Chris Jericho story, right?
Okay, so after the match, supposedly, what he reported happened is that Jericho was very concerned over Randy Orton's health. And so Randy, he was questioning things, and when he was asking, I believe it was Michael Hayes.
Yeah. He
was asking Michael Hayes what exactly happened, and Michael Hayes wouldn't give him an answer, trying to keep kayfabe alive, I'm assuming. He yelled, "That's bullshit," or something along those lines. Brock heard him.
And Jericho was very upset about it.
Yes. He yelled, "That's bullshit." Jericho was pissed. And Brock heard him, and they exchanged some words, and they kind of got a scuffle until they were broken up. And the only thing that really stopped Jericho from going after Brock was the fact that Vince yelled up, "It's a work." Vince is the one that stopped Jericho to explain to Jericho it was work. So
and then Triple H was trying to tell Vince, and well, Brock started it. Brock, got pissed off. He got in his face. So it's even conflict between the head guys in the back of who starts the real fight. About it almost reminds me of the streak ending. Yeah. Only a select few people knew that Brock was going to end the streak. I'm assuming Paul Heyman, obviously Brock, Taker, and I would thank Vince. But there probably wasn't any more than 10 guys that actually knew that was going to end. So the fans, I like to think the commentators didn't know. The referee probably didn't know, I'm hoping. And a lot of wrestlers in the back, they probably didn't know it was planned. It's the same thing with this. We're going to have Brock hit him with a real elbow, bust him open, have him bleed everywhere, because he probably will, and end it on TKO. Okay. And then he's a Shane Man.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go next was, okay, so before Brock gets backstage, he continues to assault Randy Orton, and Shane McMahon, SmackDown commissioner, comes out and tries to stop him, and he gets an F5 for his efforts. So is that going to be a feud? Because they've kind of teased a little bit of it.
And see, that's another thing right there, too, because I did read somewhere that the Brock busting Orton open and the TKO victory, that was planned, but him F5ing Shane wasn't planned. There's 100 different scenarios that...
It's a good time to pan.
I think it's a great time. The way they're slowly migrating from that PG Universe era. I wouldn't say back to the Attitude Era. Everyone's like, I want the Attitude Era back. No, you don't. I've watched some clips. I watched about 3 months straight of Attitude Era. It was kind of hard to follow. They had the good moments, obviously with Stone Cold and Rock and Triple H going on his own, and it was a good time, but it's not something I would want to repeat. It was very jumpy, and some stories didn't follow.
Yeah, it's basically Crash TV and throwing shit at the wall and some stakes.
Yeah, if it didn't work, we're not going to do it again.
Yeah. So I do like they're not so much going away from PG, but they're throwing a little bit more of an edge to it.
Yeah, like what we discussed, Brock Lesnar. They had to bleep him out because he swore on TV that wasn't allowed to be on. The blood, they could have easily black and white the screen so you couldn't see the blood, but they let you see it all. They zoomed in on it. It's getting very edgy.
Yeah, and
so still being family based.
Yeah. So that was SummerSlam. We had Takeover the night before, which was a phenomenal show.
Yeah, we got done with the podcast last week and flipped it on real quick, and it was really decent. Last time
we had
oh my gosh, it was like a Cesaro uppercut from the second rope into a Stone Cold Stunner. It was.
Dude, I marked out hard for that one.
Yeah, that was probably the best move of the whole night, I think.
Then we had the glorious debut of Bobby Roode.
Yes, the glorious debut. And it was glorious.
We had Austin Aries taking on No Hey Jose. We had, at the end of that match, the continuation for Austin Aries' next feud, Hideo Itami comes out and delivers a GTS to Austin Aries. You had the tag team title match between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa versus the Revival. Revival retains. Love it, because I'm a huge fan of the Revival, as I've already said.
Sorry. Jumping the gun there on 2K17, my apologies.
So we also had the women's title match between Bayley and Asuka.
Again, Not the way I was gonna see it.
Yeah, not expected the finish of that one. I expected Bailey to come out on top I expected it to be like a 3-match feud where, Asuka come out on top on the first one and Bailey come out on the next one, and then the
rubber match. Ladder. A Divas or women's ladder match wouldn't be too bad. I think it'd help with NXT. They've already had the Iron Man match, and they've
And I think we kind of predicted it. During Takeover, the way Bailey left at Takeover. I think we kind of were like, well, she's probably going to get called up soon. The way she left the ring, almost the way John Cena left at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting to see that. Then you had the main event, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship. I didn't expect that finish either.
No.
I did not. I like Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, I like his character and I like everything about him. And I also like Samoa Joe. I always have. So I didn't quite know what to expect with that match, but I didn't think that Joe was going to drop the belt.
Not so soon.
Yeah.
He beat Finn Balor at a house show to win the NXT title just a few months ago. So I definitely didn't see his title run being so short. I would assume a rematch is in the near future.
Joe is doing a storyline injury.
Oh.
I believe with a rotator cuff.
Well, then it won't be near.
Yeah. So
a returning from injury feud.
Since we're talking about Takeover,
Nakamura.
Let's just cover NXT this week. It was your basic episode of NXT with some decent matches. You had TM61 on there against the Authors of Pain, which has really cool new masks. So we got to see Paul Ellering.
Yes, Paul.
So we got to see Ember Moon. So, I mean, it was your basic episode of NXT. Cruiserweight Classic, some phenomenal matches. So we now have our final 8. So starting next week, we're going to go into the quarterfinal matches. I think we can only expect good things from there. I honestly did not watch it. I got stuck at work, so I have to catch up still. So on that, then we'll go into Monday Night Raw.
Whew. It was quite a start.
It was.
Started out, for fans who've been complaining the past few weeks since the draft, the stage and ring setup was the same setup from SummerSlam the night before. Mm-hmm. It looked great. The Tron was the stage setup, the rampway. It looked good. I'm really hoping that this is a permanent thing. They did the same setup, slightly tweaked for SmackDown.
I like the turnbuckle posts, man.
The turnbuckle posts
those are awesome.
Were awesome. There was a lot of pictures floating around from SummerSlam. Like, we got some weird looking turnbuckle posts here. Then the show started, they lit up and they said SummerSlam, and it looked great. I loved it.
When Superstars come out, like their little Minitron design is on the posts, and it's really cool.
It was really set up. Very, the evolution of the entrances have changed. A lot more videos, a lot more lights. It gives it more of a personal touch now. There's more, personality, I think, to their entrances. There already was before, like Finn Balor's demon entrance, and a lot of charisma in there. But now it's more personal. The ring post, something different, something new.
Yeah. So Raw kicked off with Mick Foley and Stephanie in the ring, announcing that Finn Balor would have to relinquish his championship, and then they asked Finn Balor to come out. Finn Balor relinquishes his championship, and as he leaves the ring, Seth Rollins comes out and says that he should be rightful champion, and that is decided that is not the case.
I figured they would have.
Yeah. Knowing
Stephanie and how she liked Seth Rollins the past couple of years since he left the Shield, I figured, Seth, you were the runner-up. Take the belt and go.
I thought that too.
No.
But they set up a tournament. And basically it was, I think, 4 matches on Raw. And the winners of all 4 of those matches would be in a fatal 4-way.
I believe it's actually next week.
Yeah, next week is the fatal 4-way.
So now I'm going to wait until the pay-per-view. We're going to find a new Universal Champion this Monday. Tomorrow night. And I think there's going to be a swerve. I think it's kind of crappy finish. I think Seth Rollins. Well, who's in the match?
It's Seth Rollins,
who's it for?
Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, and the 4th guy.
You remember this one?
It's somebody odd.
This was the oddball.
It's Big Cass.
Big Cass. And I've heard some things about the unlikely winner of this match. I didn't read the post. I just saw the title of the article and it said the unlikely winner. I can only assume it's Big Cass.
No. I read similar article and it was about Kevin Owens.
I don't know.
And here's why they say it. Because these are reports that I've read elsewhere as well. The reports are that before Balor's injury, he was supposed to win the title at SummerSlam, defend the title at Clash of Champions against Kevin Owens, setting up a triple threat at Hell in a Cell between him, Kevin Owens, and Chris Jericho for the Universal Championship. So
not a bad lineup.
And that goes back into what I was saying at the very beginning of the show when we were talking about SummerSlam and Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho possibly going into a feud.
Going after the Universal Championship.
So that technically could work out if Kevin Owens walks away with the Universal Championship. He definitely deserves it. All four of those guys really... Okay, 3 of the 4 of those guys really deserve to be the Universal Championship.
Wait.
Big Cass.
Big Cass.
You thought I was going to go Anthony. You really thought I was going to go Anthony.
If they push Big Cass more leading into the Fatal 4-Way, that if he won it, I wouldn't be so surprised that, he could carry the company if they trust Finn Balor, wouldn't they trust Seth Rollins over the past couple of years. But seeing that they don't really push Big Cass, and he sounds like he's a little slow upstairs, and he talks really slow, I don't see him being able to cut the promos that he would need to be the champion.
Roman Reigns. That's all I'm going to say.
Roman Reigns' promos kind of were sketchy when they were forcing him down your throats.
Yeah.
When he had to be the man.
My fear is
Lately,
that's what they're going to do to Big Cass, because from everything I've read online, Big Cass has a huge big of support behind the scenes. That everybody just looks at Big Cass and sees money. He's a big 7 foot tall guy. So yeah, I definitely think that he eventually will have the potential to be a world champion. Right now, no. I don't see Jericho doing anything, but he's not in the match.
I don't see him, if he's in the title hunt anytime soon.
Yeah. I don't see him
winning
getting
it.
the belt. I can see him putting over Kevin Owens if Kevin Owens wins.
Yeah.
I see Kevin Owens winning. I can see, obviously, Seth Rollins winning. I can see Roman Reigns winning. I think if Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns wins, they continue their feud and they go into build off of that.
Oh, God, I hope not. I'm done with it right now. If there were 3 brands, I wish they would have split all 3 members of the Shield on different shows. But there had to have been 2 on one, 2 on the other, or 1 on the other.
No, they could have sent Roman down to NXT.
They could have traded him out for a 7th pick.
Yep.
I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up, really. It's tomorrow night. Unfortunately, I won't be able to watch it. I have other engagements. But
I gotta work.
Huh?
I gotta work.
You gotta work. So we'll catch up on it and we'll try and.
YouTube's great for that. They post the highlights, all the major
God bless
stuff.
YouTube.
So
we'll figure out the results as they happen as soon as we can. But the prediction, I'm almost hoping for Big Cass to see where they go with it. But for my own personal benefit, I'm really hoping for Rollins.
I'm hoping for Owens. So what else happened on Raw? Oh, that's right, the debut of Bayley.
Sasha's gone and Charlotte needs a #1 contender.
And here comes Bayley. I love Bayley. And she didn't shake Mick Foley's hand.
Oh, you don't.
She signed the deal with a hug.
That's the way you gotta do it. You gotta hug.
Brother's got a hug.
Oh Lord. But it was a great reaction. Everyone has been waiting for Bayley to come up. The other three women of the 4 horsemen from NXT, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte have already come up. It was just waiting that time for Bayley to come up, and huge reaction. That song hit, and the wacky waving arm flailing inflatable tube men come out. It was great, and she seemed ready, and she's a huge fan, so this is huge deal for her. Meant a lot. And she won her first match against Dana Brooke, too,
Yeah.
on Raw. So leading into her title match with Charlotte, whenever that will be.
Let's see what else we have going on. Lesnar consequences $500 for F5ing Brock or Shane McMahon.
I'm hoping there was a comma and a couple zeros missing from that number because Brock Lesnar shits $500 every morning when he wakes up.
And they're getting McGregor. I think that's that's further in that storyline I was thinking about with Shane and with Brock, because Shane commented on it the next night and said that $500 was unacceptable, and this thing between him and Brock is over.
I wouldn't think so. I think Brock's gone for a few months though. From the reports, so we'll see what
reports are that one of two things is going to happen at the Royal Rumble: either Brock versus Shane at the Rumble, which I would not be opposed to,
depending,
or Brock versus a hand-picked opponent by Shane, which I would not be opposed to either, depending on who Shane picked. As long as it wasn't Bobby Lashley, I'd be okay.
Or Heath Slater.
You don't give a shit about Heath Slater.
Or his kids.
But SmackDown has some options that may surprise you.
To face Brock?
Yeah. I think Rhino would be a great option. I think Rhino versus Brock would be a good match.
I think that'd be a great match in 2003. When they're both in their primes.
Rhino is still just as talented.
He is. I'm not going to say he's old because, let's face it, he pushes himself. And, Cena's older in age, and he pushes himself out there. And Ric Flair's been doing it for 30, 40 years. I'm not saying that Rhino couldn't do it. I just don't see Rhino being the guy. You know what? We need someone from SmackDown that's going to beat Brock. Rhino, you're the guy. I don't see him.
I think if they build him between now and then, he very well could be. And it might be a good move for WWE in particular to move in that direction with Rhino, given that he just won a political race. So it might be some good publicity for WWE in that front. Anybody else really from SmackDown, unless it was like Orton or Cena?
Depending, again, how they build it, because how it's looking is Lesnar's a bad guy, and you don't want to pin a bad guy versus a bad guy, for your show. But I wouldn't mind, seeing Brock versus AJ Styles.
Match we haven't gotten to see.
I think that would be an interesting match. The Beast versus the Phenomenal one. Brock is strong, but AJ's quick and he flies. Just don't let Brock catch you.
I would just like Brock to win for AJ to win the Rumble. So that's why I didn't think of AJ Styles, honestly. So speaking of Lesnar, it was announced that he was suspended by the Nevada Athletic Commission from competing in mixed martial arts in the state of Nevada for his anti-doping violation by the USDA. Still no word on whether he will or will not face... Well, I guess there was a word. WWE told TMZ he would not face consequences from WWE because it was one of their drug tests. And if you read the drug policy from WWE, basically, as long as they're not full-time performer, they don't have to answer the wellness program. Which is, I think, I don't personally agree with that. I mean, you've gotten, in the last 3 months, Roman Reigns, Eva Marie, Del Rio, Paige, all these people suspended for wellness violations.
The big names, the one drawing you in money at the time, Roman Reigns was going into a title match.
Yes.
And then, along with, I'm sorry, you just said it, I forgot it. Paige and Del Rio. Del Rio's only been back in the company for less than a year, and Paige is one of their top divas on Raw. And you kind of screwed yourself out of, doing that. I mean, I know Brock
Eva Marie was booked in a big tag match for SummerSlam.
They've been building her up, all those times she backed out of matches with Becky Lynch, giving her that heat that she needed because no one thought she was a good wrestler. Now we just know for a fact that she backs out of matches, so she's really not a good wrestler now.
Yeah.
But now she's gone. It's like you're losing all your main event or could be main event caliber people because of their failed drug tests, but just because it's Brock Lesnar, you just shake it off because he's bringing in more money. But you have a shitty ending to the pay-per-view, then I'm not sure if that was really the money that you needed to make.
Yeah. So there's that going on in pro wrestling. You have, let's see, what else we have going on. Obviously, we mentioned Sasha's injury, possibly not needing surgery. So she may not be out as long as we had anticipated.
Yeah.
Finn Balor will be out at least 4 to 6 months. His shoulder injury was very severe. So expect that to happen. SmackDown, let's transition into SmackDown a little bit here. I caught the highlights again. I had to work, so I caught the highlights of SmackDown. And really the only things that I noticed that were really big from SmackDown, there were 3 things. The women's title belt, the new SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships, and the new number 1 contender for Dean Ambrose's WWE Championship. So we'll start with how the show started, which was with the SmackDown Women's Tag Team belts being revealed. The SmackDown Tag Team belts look almost identical to the Raw ones, and except for having a black strap, they have a blue strap, and except for being copper, they have silver. I like the way they look. I told you this when they debuted them. I like the way they look. I was not a fan of the Raw tag belts. Not since they debuted. I've hated those belts.
They've been on TV now for about 6-7 years.
And every time I see them, I complain.
It's interesting because almost every time a new championship debuts, the way they look went from the Winged Eagle to the Attitude Era round, the round to the Smoking Skull belt, the Smoking Skull back to the round, obviously, and then went to the Undisputed Championship. We went to the Spinner belt. We went to what we know now. We kind of tweaked from the old scratch W logo to the new modern day logo. Almost every time the Intercontinental belts did the same thing. The tag belts did it a bunch of times. Every time a belt changes its image, at first you're either, I love the way the belt looks. It looks good. I like the change. And other times you're like, I don't like it. The tag belts on Raw still do not look good to us. I like that they're different, but I don't like how they look. I don't like the copper. I don't like the Roman helmets. I don't like the round look, honestly. I think it's just too generic. Like a shield. I don't like it.
My 2 favorite tag belts of all time were the World Tag Team Championships that were on Raw.
The red ones? Yep.
And the old school, like, Attitude Era tag team belts.
Yeah.
Those are my 2 favorite tag team belts of all time. If they bring out either one of those, I will be happy. Get on it. Even if they would have brought back the old SmackDown tag belts.
To be the new SmackDown type, just modified just a little bit.
Yeah.
But just the same basic look. Yeah. But then now we've got 4 belts that kind of all look the same.
Yeah. Which I was complaining about that to you, and yesterday I was reading online an article where somebody had kind of explained why he thought WWE was doing this, and it made sense. As somebody who works on the indies, and I'm working with a company that's developing and kind of getting their name out there and trying to get belts and things like that, it's hard to get belts that don't look like what WWE has already produced. I think that's kind of a trend in the independent scene where guys will take a WWE style belt like the Intercontinental or the US or even a WWE World Championship.
Yeah, the World Championship I've seen used many times in indies.
And they'll take those belts and they will use those as their titles. And it almost kind of diminishes that company. And it almost kind of diminishes the WWE belt.
Yeah.
So WWE is kind of putting a stop to that and making all of their belts, like both women's belts, the Universal title, and the WWE Championship. So that's 4 titles that all look almost identical.
And it's just minor changes. It's just
color changes.
The color changes and
the wording.
And the wording. That's about all there is. The difference.
So obviously you're not going to use a championship in an independent company with the big WWE logo as the centerpiece.
You really can't let that one slide.
Yeah.
That won't go well in a lawsuit. I mean,
so
belts is, yeah.
So I think that's kind of where that, and you know what? I don't think anybody in the independents like those tag belts either, so that's why they're not stealing them.
That's not a bad, way to do it. If you don't want someone to steal your material, make it look stupid.
Well, not so much stupid, just so incredibly unique to you. that nobody could steal it. Honestly, the more I look at the Universal title, I'm starting to like it a little bit.
Just a little bit. At first,
the women's championship for SmackDown, as soon as I saw it, I loved it.
Because it kind of like separated the Raw from the SmackDown.
Yes.
I mean, we were upset, when the Universal Championship came out. We thought it was going to be some amazing belt. You go on YouTube channels all over for 2K16, you'll see just a bunch of top 10 of how the Universal Championship will probably look. None of them were right. None of them were even close. They were way more elaborate, way more detailed, and way more, to me, beautiful.
I think for us, what happened, I think what we did, and this is just you and I, what we did was we hyped ourselves up about all these other designs that we could have liked, and then we set ourselves up for disappointment. So no matter what would have happened, we would have been disappointed because we hyped ourselves up.
Yeah, I think they brought back spinner belt and made it a red strap. No. They'd have brought back the wingle belt. Depending how they worked it, we probably still wouldn't have liked it.
Yeah.
So there's really no pleasing fans.
Totally isn't.
I'm not sure who was even excited about it.
And that brings us into a segue, if you will, into a segment I like to call What's Pissing Me Off in Pro Wrestling.
It's about to go down.
And that is these internet wrestling fans. Guys that are, quite honestly, no different than he and I. Or you, because you're watching this and you consider yourself a smart fan. The wrestling fans on the internet are really starting to piss me off. First of all, if it happens on TV, it's 99.99% of work. Would you agree?
Yeah. If not higher percentages than that.
So let's talk about Talking Smack, right? So Talking Smack is the program that airs on the WWE Network immediately following SmackDown every Tuesday.
Yep.
So there's a couple of things that happen on Talking Smack, but the one I want to talk to you about for this segment, Daniel Bryan and Renee Young are interviewing The Miz. Miz comes on, he's talking. And basically, Daniel Bryan proceeds to call him as a soft wrestler and that he's always scared to get hurt and things like that. And The Miz snaps. The Miz says, you know what? I may be a soft wrestler, as you call it. I may be scared to get hurt, as you call it. But I've never been injured in the entire time I've been in this business. I've never had to take 6 months off to a year off because of an injury. I didn't stand in the ring and say I'll be back in a year to reclaim this title, and never did. And Daniel Bryan responds, well, if I could come back, I would. He says, then why don't you? Just because WWE won't let you back. Go wrestle in a bingo hall. Go do something. If that's what you love to do, then get in the ring. You want to call me a coward, then you're a coward. So that promo isn't what made me mad.
No, it was a great promo. It was back to the Brock Lesnar Orton thing. You couldn't tell what was real and what was fake, what was scripted, what was reality. It was so intense because Daniel Bryan walked off the set.
Yeah.
Because he was so upset about it, he walked off. And Renee Young's trying to stop Miz from taking it any further. But this is not why we're here. We're not talking about this. He was talking smack on Talking Smack.
What pissed me off was the next day I was reading an article online, and the article. I don't remember the site it was on, and I don't remember who wrote it, or I would call him out specifically because he pissed me off that bad. But the guy wrote the article and said that basically Miz had disrespected Daniel Bryan, talking about how he couldn't come back and how that was unfair to Daniel Bryan because it wasn't his decision to leave, and Miz was a coward, and it was so disrespectful. And it's like, it's a fucking work, you moron. That's what they wanted you to think. You're no different than a little 8-year-old sitting in the crowd because that's what you think. That's what you want to believe. Don't get on a wrestling site that's intended for grown-ups, people that know what's going on behind the scenes, and complain and whine about a storyline. You are not 12. Get over it. Daniel Bryan probably doesn't care about you. And here's the thing. You're not a Daniel Bryan fan.
I'm not. I light-ish before the Nexus stuff. I love when the Nexus debuted and he was out there choking Justin Roberts with his own necktie. But after that, I wasn't really a huge fan when he was U.S. champion, Money in the Bank, world champion, tag champion. When he won the WWE World Championship and it was both belts, the Intercontinental belt, making a Grand Slam. I wasn't a huge fan of Daniel Bryan. I'm still not a huge fan of Daniel Bryan.
My point is, you're not a fan of Daniel Bryan. I was a fan of Daniel Bryan. But I am sick and tired of these fans that think that Daniel Bryan can do no wrong, that think that everything that happens to Daniel Bryan on TV is real. Daniel Bryan is a performer. He's an entertainer in the sports entertainment business, pro wrestling, as we call it. So not everything that happens on that TV screen is real. And Daniel Bryan is not a god. He is a very talented performer, and he has done great things in his career. Maybe his career isn't over. The way they're teasing us, I don't know. But you know what? I'm tired of fans complaining about everything. They complain about the title. They're complaining about the Daniel Bryan thing. They're complaining about everything. Your wife brought up an interesting point today. She said that a guy she works with sat there and complained about everything that's going on in WWE TV. But also, at another point, says he's not a fan of the current wrestling. He complained about the women's matches, saying that they were boring and pee-break matches. Are you stupid? The women's matches are matches that are selling tickets. The women's matches, 9 times out of 10, are better than half the men's matches on the show.
I don't know if this guy's been under a rock or not. Obviously, he has been. If he just now started watching it. Ever since the Divas Revolution last year, with Sasha Banks getting brought up, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Paige, the Divas matches have been one of the best moments on the card all year. There were times, I'll give it to you. There's a time where Mickie James and Melina, they were the top divas, and everything else is kind of iffy depending on who was in the match, what it was about. When the Divas Revolution started, that chance started to give divas a chance because the match was less than a minute long.
Yeah.
They weren't given the time. They got it now, but people still use over a year ago as a standard of divas matches, women's matches now, because they're better than they were. They're still talented. They're still beautiful. They're still sexy. They can still talk. They can still kick ass. But there's a lot of fans who don't give them the recognition. And this is one. He said, I don't like the stupid storylines they had going on. They're so cheesy and they're dumb. I liked it when, Trish and Lita were wrestling. Those times when Trish and Lita were around, the storylines were dumb too.
There's always going to be dumb storylines. It doesn't matter what era it is.
Storylines.
It could have been the 80s. There were dumb storylines in the 80s. There were dumb storylines in the 90s. There was dumb in the early 2000s. There was dumb now. It doesn't matter. Not everything is going to work the way that the writers and things like that think it is. You may not like every storyline. Just because you don't like the storyline doesn't mean he's not going to like the storyline. Doesn't mean I'm not going to like the storyline. They can't please everybody at one time. And here's the other thing about the internet wrestling fans that really gets under my skin. They sit there and they complain about a storyline as it's going on before they even get to the conclusion of what's happening. Let the storyline play out. Let things happen. You don't know where it's going to go. So get off your ass, okay? Unless you've been in the ring, unless you've done it, unless you've written a storyline, leave people alone. Okay, that's all I have.
That's all you got on that one?
That's all I got on that one because I had to breathe. To breathe.
What I've come to realize, and I've been doing this for a long time too, when it comes to you want to know everything what's going on. Something happens, you want to hop on that computer and you want to look up to see what's going on. After I miss a couple things on Facebook or whatever, on WWE, I go on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and I want to find out what's going on behind the scenes. Back in the day, you didn't have that luxury. It was you watched Raw, you wait till next week to watch Raw again to find out what happened.
Unless you know about the dirt sheets that you could order through the mail.
You could order through the mail, but I didn't know that kind of stuff when I was a kid.
I didn't either.
I would watch, Monday Night Raw or Nitro, and Sting would come down from the rafters, beat up the NWO, and then it would just cut off and go to the next program on TNT. What the hell happened? Wait 7 days to find out what Sting even did because the show would overrun and they would never show you what happened. Nowadays, it overruns, you go online, you can find what happened in the dark matches after the show. You get people who are videotaped with their cell phones and post it on Instagram and Facebook.
And YouTube.
And YouTube. YouTube is full of, stuff you're not supposed to know about. So what people need to do, instead of complain about how things aren't going their way because they give a shit what you think, just be a fan. Love or hate it. Roddy Piper comes out. Do you hate him or love him? That's your decision. Don't hate him because he's an asshole to his fans, and don't love him because he's got wife and kids. That's none of your business. What he does in the ring is what you should care about. You don't like the new Universal belt? That's fine. Hate it. You're gonna get used to it eventually. I mean, if you're gonna have a blog about, real things in wrestling, then have a better opinion than this is stupid. Actually have what's the term for it?
Informed opinion.
Unbiased opinion. Don't just be, well, I don't like the new wrestling stuff. I don't watch it, I just don't like it. Then how do you know if you like it or not? If you don't really watch it. This guy just got the network. We asked him. My wife asked him at work. She said, oh yeah, do you watch the Takin Bumps? He goes, oh yeah, I watch Takin Bumps all the time. She goes, no you don't. He goes, yeah I do, I watch every episode. This is episode number 2. How's he watched every episode?
Really? Really? Did you have to bring that up?
I did. Because if you're a wrestling fan, you shouldn't have to lie and hide it. Be proud that you're a wrestling fan. Stop bitching about it. Jesus. And I'm done. I'm good. Okay.
Next. So, the only thing left we have to talk about, I think, is WWE 2K17. There's not a whole lot of news. There was a couple of new videos that were released this week. We had a video of the Kevin Owens doing the apron powerbomb. We had a little bit of a women's match that was shown.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite clips.
Yeah.
The new ladder match features.
The new ladder match features. And then we talked about the backstage brawls last week. So we had all that stuff going on. We have new roster.
There were 22 new additions. Apparently, they weren't already discussed. And we saw Goldberg and the new Census and Brock Lesnar. We knew about them. But we have some new additions to the games completely.
Yes. People have never been in the games before. American Alpha. The Revival. I'm really excited to play as the Revival.
That's going to be good.
It's going to be awesome.
They showed a screenshot of the Revival on their entrance, and they look fantastic.
Yeah.
For being their first year, they look...
I'm ready to put the Revival, Arn Anderson, and Ric Flair all together. Making a new Four Horsemen. That's what I'm doing. I don't care.
Not a huge fan of it, but they did add Carmella this year to go on with Enzo and Cass. But, more divas.
She's in the roster.
She's new in the roster.
I think we're up to like 13 divas now.
If I read the report right, I think we're more than that. I think we might actually almost have 20 if you count Stephanie onto it.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a huge roster. It's going to be a huge game. They're showing us bits and pieces of things they're adding in. The new ladder match thing it looks like it might be a little difficult, but it's like it's going to be a good time, and I'm going to like it a lot more as far as the graphics of it go.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of new things, a lot of new arenas, new people, new modes, or adjusted modes, new ways to win. The ladder match feature looks, like I said, looks very difficult, but that makes it better because it's not going to be an easy match. Yeah. We went throwback with SmackDown. Here Comes the Pain. Actually, pretty simple match to win. You just jump for the belt and you fall down with it. I mean, it's not that hard. It doesn't make it more lifelike. So the little mini game at the top of the ladder will give it more of a better feel. I like to personally watch the matches as if I'm watching Raw. If it's like on Friday and there's no wrestling on TV, I'll throw the game on and I'll make my own matches. Stone Cold versus the Ultimate Warrior or something like that. And I'll watch a match of that, how it turns out. And with the ladder match feature, set up the newly added Razor Ramon to the game.
Yeah,
face Shawn Michaels. See if you can do a new WrestleMania 10 or SummerSlam 95 rematch. Third time's the charm ladder match between two. See how that turns out.
They changed the submission system.
Oh yeah.
Well, they've kept the one from last year. They made it a little bit better, from what I understand. It's a little bit more easy to get the bars lined up right because I'm sorry, I've been playing this game all year, and I still cannot figure out how to not tap out in a submission or make someone tap out. I still haven't done that. Every time I get locked into a submission, I'm like, well, I'm screwed.
Yeah, it's been only we're still tinkering with
So
it.
they have that system in. They've improved it a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier. And then they also re-added a secondary submission system, which I understand is similar to the breaking point
Okay.
button mashing style. Apparently online, the only one you can use is one that added in 2K16, the newer one. So that's the only one you can use on. It's that way nobody's like trying to do two different kinds. I understand why they're doing that. But not a whole lot of news. Tuesday we'll get some more roster additions.
Should be the final set.
It is the final set, unless they do. I think they're gonna throw in some surprises.
Yeah, we're up to it's probably 150 man or man and woman roster. I think we're up to 101.
Yeah.
Or 107. So 100 and something. It's not more than 110. It's less than that. I just don't see them being like, you know what? Here's 40 people. I'm done with it. I could see that, but there's not a whole lot of new additions that aren't already on the current roster. Like Scott Hall was in the game last year, so they made him Razor Ramon this year. They carried over guys like Diamond Dallas Page and
I'm
things
glad
like
they
that.
didn't carry over guys, and well, we still don't know guys from the Triangle Terror, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
From 15 that carried over into 16, there's not a whole lot of those guys.
And all the Stone Cold characters and all the Rock characters.
Well, we don't know about that yet.
We don't know about it, but I wouldn't know if they, we have 40 more positions left in this game. We're going to give you all the Stone Cold, Stunning Steves, all the superstars, all the DX Triple H's and the modern Triple H's and the Ministry Taker, the Old School Taker, the Badass Taker. Like,
if we got Badass Taker, I wouldn't be
mine about the Badass Taker. But I'm still hoping for guys, guys we haven't seen in a while.
Road Dogg. I see Road Dogg.
We had Billy Gunn last year in X-Pac, and then the new pitcher for Billy Gunn this year is the more modern day.
Yeah,
Billy Gunn, so I would love a modern day New Age Outlaws.
Because we've got the modern day Dudleys.
Yeah.
We've got a modern day Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
Not a modern day Outlaws. They've been tag team champions
since they've been back.
More recent than the other two teams, so.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm still hoping for things like that. Even like little things like like a Eugene, like a hurricane, like
somebody just off the wall out of the blue. And you're like, why are they in there? Because they do. Every year there's somebody that gets thrown in there. And you're like, what? Why?
Like if they were saying before, we reported it last week, that they were supposed to be supposedly a Brock Lesnar showcase mode.
Guys that they threw in for that they weren't able to use.
Yeah, Hardcore Holly. He fought Brock Lesnar at the Rumble of 04. Mm-hmm. Why not a Hardcore Holly? He kind of just disappeared after a while.
I've been saying I wanted an Eddie from that time frame for a while now.
Any Eddie from 04 to his passing in 05.
Yeah.
The Latino Heat, the I'm Your Poppy, anything. Which I would love an updated lowrider entrance.
Yeah.
Would love that.
The last time we had that version of Eddie, I think, was WWE 12.
Yeah.
And I don't even think he had the lowrider entrance. I think he just walked out on the stage.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I think the lowrider entrance was in the game, and you could give it to him. You had to change it.
Yeah, he had to go in there and change it, though. So Eddie would be great. Great addition to that. I don't think if we had the Brock Lesnar or Goldberg storyline that we would have the Survivor Series from 03. But like random quirks like Matt Bloom, worked out in NXT. Wouldn't mind having an A-Train or an Albert. If we got an Albert, I would love to have a Test. Just guys you wouldn't expect. We haven't seen in a while in the games.
Last year we got guys with the Stone Cold one that we had never seen in games.
Ever or just recently?
Ever. Really? Like Savio?
I can't remember a time we had Savio Vega.
In any game.
In any wrestling game, yeah. He might have been in like Attitude or Warzone when he was, in the group that he was in.
Yeah.
Like, not the Nation, but...
Oh, the Los Barricas.
Yeah. He might have been in it, but I doubt
it. He was not in Warzone. And I think by the time Attitude came out, the Los Barricas were gone.
Right, so it's...
So I don't think we've ever had Savio.
Oh, Mikey Whipwreck?
Mikey Whipwreck. D'Lo, we haven't had since like.
Oh,
he didn't
maybe
make the
SmackDown 2.
He didn't make WWE 13 for the Attitude Era.
He didn't?
I don't think
I
so.
thought it might have been DLC.
No.
Whether he was or not, we still didn't have Kama Mustafa.
Yeah. No, we didn't. We had like. I think the only person from the nation we had in WWE 13 was Mark Henry.
Yeah, we had the Godfather.
Well, we had the Godfather.
Well, we didn't have the Kama Mustafa attire.
We had Mark Henry, and he had the Nation, and I think The Rock. We had a Nation version of The Rock.
Yeah.
But other than that, we didn't have a Nation version of the Farouk.
Mm-hmm.
We had the ABA version of Farouk.
Yeah.
But if you had the Royal Rumble in the Attitude Era mode.
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah. It was the Royal Rumble of the Attitude Era mode.
One that Austin won.
Yeah. And he came out, it was like APA version of Farouk, but he came out to the Nation theme. So, and I think this was the first year we even had Nation version of Farouk.
Yeah, Whipwreck was on the last one, but he wasn't on any of the previous games before that.
Right, and that's what we were talking about. We were talking about how last year we got several guys who weren't in any previous versions of the game.
So we'll be on this year's game, just a carryover, or
Yeah,
is
I'm
it going to be a
surprised
one
because
and
they carried
done?
over pretty much everybody from the showcase mode.
But they've been carrying over guys from the DLC of 2K14.
Yeah.
You know, like Paige and Bam Bam and Lord Steven Regal. I personally am a little upset about that because they did not transfer over guys like Scott Steiner. They didn't transfer over Virgil. They didn't transfer over Bruno Sammartino. I didn't use Bruno, but to have the roster build up to get every year.
Well, I was a little upset. Dusty DLC'd in 14. Missed 15, and then was DLC again in 16.
And it was practically the same Dusty.
Yeah. So I would like to see Dusty make the actual roster.
Yeah. Stardust is in it.
Yeah.
You know, and Cody's not even in the company anymore. But
And Piper is another one I'd like to see make the actual roster.
again, wasn't in 14.
I'm hoping
But
we
he
still
was
got
DLC
one
this
more
year,
reveal to go. So those two could definitely, especially in the last year or so since they're passing, those two could definitely be.
Guaranteed add-ons.
We know there's going to be 4 DLC packs though.
We know this?
Yes.
I don't know this.
You don't know this. There's going to be 4 DLC packs.
Okay.
If you go on to, like, you're going to pre-order the game and all that stuff, like you're on your system, and you're online and you're trying to pre-order the game, you can actually pre-order the version with the DLC in it.
Does it give you any details on it?
And it does not tell you what's in it. It says something about the My Bear Kickstart again, and it might have said, I think it's something about the Accelerator again, but it doesn't say anything about, it just says there's going to be 4 packs.
Doesn't say how many people, how many arenas.
Yeah, it doesn't say what's all going to be in the
showcases.
packs.
Okay.
Yeah, the brand split's already because it just happened, and the game's been in development for a while.
Or is it?
It's not going to be a part of it. I mean, obviously with Universe Mode, you can create your own brand split, so...
I don't see how they can cut the showcase mode and it still be a worth $60 game, and that's just the basic version of it.
I think there's another mode in there.
There's some secrets.
That they haven't, because they really haven't told us much. But, okay, so we're talking about all the 150 is before DLC, I'm assuming.
I would hope so. I'd hate to say, oh yeah, all right, we're getting a revival. It's DLC. What?
Yeah.
No.
So I would like to say that we get, even if we don't get, because last year we had let's go back to 15. 15, you had the Warrior Showcase. And the Path of the Warrior, and then you had the Christian Showcase. Those were DLC.
And there was Mark Henry, Hall of Pain.
Hall of Pain. You had 3 DLC showcase modes.
So the game had a total of 5.
Yeah. Because that game actually had the Shawn versus Hunter one, and it also had the Cena versus HBK one.
CM Punk.
Did the Superstar get better?
Which superstar?
I'm confused.
But yeah, it was the Cena versus Punk.
Yeah. And so then transitioned into 16, and you had
Just the Stone Cold one.
the Stone Cold one, and then you had the DLC of the Hall of Fame showcase.
Right.
So we're probably not going to get a showcase from DLC. But there's usually like a Future Stars or an NXT pack, which it's kind of DLC already. That's been announced. There's when you get the NXT version, which has Shinsuke Nakamura, it has Nia Jax, and it has
Apollo
Crews. So we know those NXT guys are also going to be in there as DLC. But is there going to be an NXT pack? Because really, who else do they have that's been down there long enough that's not already going to be on the game? So we're probably not, in my opinion, not going to get an NXT pack.
Right. Just the three from the pre-order NXT.
And then plus it's announced.
There's a lot of guys already announced for NXT. You
Yeah.
know, the Revival and American Alpha, and, you know.
Bailey and has Bailey been announced? I don't think so.
That's the thing. We had a huge complaint last year that how they weren't on the game. So far, we got 3 of the 4.
Yeah, and Bailey's not been announced, so I'm assuming that's my number one assumption is that Bailey is going to be on the main roster of the game, and she's going to be in the next reveal that happens on Tuesday.
God, I hope so. What else is there? Since we went from 5 showcase modes to 2 showcase modes, if we have one this year, I would assume it's DLC. We're getting 4 DLC packs.
Yeah.
I think a showcase mode would have to be one of them, and if it's carrying over from last year, a Hall of Fame showcase mode.
Yeah, and even if we don't get the showcase mode, I was thinking a Hall of Fame pack. Last year's Hall of Fame pack was everybody that was inducted into the Hall of Fame the year prior.
So we had like Kevin Nash, Randy Savage. Who else was there? Alondra Blaze. Gosh, who else was in that pack? The Bushwhackers.
Yeah.
Larry Zbyszko for whatever reason.
Because he was in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but
former AWA World Champion sold out Shea Stadium against his mentor.
We gotta ask more questions and make more comments. And Charlotte does suck. I hate her too.
Because you're sitting in the other room.
You can hear us.
No, he's not single. He's married to a very nice woman. They just celebrated their 5-year wedding anniversary.
Yesterday. Takin. Who's in the Hall of Fame this year?
So this year we had
Snoop Dogg,
celebrity inductee, which they did not use last year for the Hall of Fame showcase as a celebrity inductee. But you had Snoop Dogg,
which is messed up because Schwarzenegger was part of the DLC pre-order bonus.
Yeah.
So
we had who else went into the Hall of Fame?
Gosh,
Sting.
That's a damn shame that we can't figure that. Sting. If we get Sting in a showcase Hall of Fame mode, I would love to see Sting and Ric Flair from like Great American Bash.
Yeah.
When he was wearing his red, white, and blue with the blonde flat top. I thought that was a great gimmick for him. I'm looking it up right now. I feel like I'm a little slow here. Stan Hansen. I really can't think of a.
Vader.
Because Vader?
Yes, Snoop went into the Hall of Fame. He was inducted by John Cena.
Yeah, and he gave a big shout to his little cuz, Sasha Banks. And
so you had Stan Hansen. You had I know there was a team.
Was a team?
The Freebirds. If you're gonna do a showcase with the Freebirds, you got to do it against Survivors.
And if you don't, you're stupid. The Godfather went in.
Godfather.
I guess a match where maybe he won the European Championship. If we get Godfather, that means we get a Ho entrance.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you, Russell. Big Boss Man went in. My picture doesn't show it.
Yep.
Big Boss Man went in.
That'd be cool.
You could do so much with a Big Boss Man.
But see, here's the problem. Most, with the exception of Stan Hansen and the Freebirds, pretty much everybody was in last year.
I feel like we're missing somebody else here. Jacqueline,
yeah, that'd be another good one to do.
There it is. Jacqueline, she could. I know she's been women's champion. I really couldn't tell you what great match she's been in, but I'm sure they can. See, the same with Alondra Blaze.
I don't think Snoop will be on the game. No.
God, if they put like Jacqueline or like a Godfather or Stan Hansen in there, do like Alondra Blaze did last year. You know, they didn't have a person to face Alondra Blaze in the showcase mode, so they just did a modern versus past women's match. So they did Stan Henson, cowboy of the day versus JBL. I was just thinking that. One cowboy to another cowboy. Who has a better clothesline? Who's more powerful?
If they did it with the Freebirds, I think you do Freebirds versus. Show's dad's funeral. That's funny. You do the Freebirds versus the New Day.
Yeah, I could see that 6-man tag match, Freebirds versus the New Day. Maybe in like a WrestleMania 1 arena.
Random.
Not to have it in a modern day arena. Give it, the old school feel. I think it, be.
I wanted Texas arena from the sport as well. That's just me.
Okay, whoever you want. But make it yourself.
But hopefully after this week we'll have more to talk about with W2K17. There'll be even more news and things like that out there. I think it's a good time to wrap it up for today.
We got a lot
for episode 2 before Facebook cuts us off again like it did last week. So
what if instead of the Godfather we get a Papa Shango match, or at least a Papa Shango attire?
That'd be awesome. Kind of like how we had King Haku alternate attire.
Yeah.
For Haku.
For your Haku, yeah. I would love a Papa Shango. I don't think we've ever seen him in a WWE game except for like Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
So I would love a Papa Shango. People create him every year. They come out great. I downloaded one a few weeks ago on the PS4. He looked phenomenal. Couldn't even tell he was created. So I would love an alternate attire of Papa Shango.
Yeah. So. But we're going to wrap it up. And remember, stay classy. And always tuck your chin when you're taking those bumps. Catch you later, Facebook.
Yep.